Well, the serendipity was that I met Ben Odell in film school many years before, and he met Eugenio, and we made a movie together. And then they sent me the project based on a movie that Ben and Josh had done before. So actually, it was extraordinary serendipity, the whole process. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, my career took an interesting path, which is to say it disappeared for a little while. But I honestly, I'm so grateful for how this project worked out, because I honestly don't think I would have been able to make this movie had I not become a father. You know, at the end of the day, it is a movie about teachers, but it's also a movie about children, learning from our children. I mean, the children also are teachers in this movie. And my son certainly has been that to me. And it definitely got me up every day to write it, to go to set, to watch these kids and what they could do. And we learned a lot from them, and I think we're here because of them.
Josh Davis is a friend. I had produced a movie based on one of his other articles. And he sent me this article 7 years ago. And Eugenio and I read it and felt like there was obviously incredible potential to tell a story, a powerful story. If Eugenio were to play that role, it could get a lot more attention. And so we started to slowly develop it. We sent a journalist to Matamoros to do more deeper diving on the story to understand it a little better for whoever we ended up hiring. And then in the midst of talking about who would be right for it, we talked about Chris, because we wanted something that really respected this sort of subgenre of a teacher movie, but also kind of subverted it and made it something really different and interesting and grounded and real and gritty. And that's what Chris did on his first movie, Padre Nuestro, with the thriller. It was the same sort of approach. So we sent it to him hoping that he might get excited about it, and he did. That's how.
Well, first of all, it was very interesting the way Chris wanted me. He wanted me to get introduced to the kids while we're filming a scene. So supposedly there's a scene where they come into the classroom for first time and meet the teacher, and they didn't know it was going to be me. And so the reaction was really, really honest, that they were like shocked because they didn't know it was me. And they've been watching my comedy shows forever, so they were like between laughing and nervous and curious and everything. And then I've been working with kids for a long time. I've been doing a lot of films with kids, so I've been developing a lot of skills to work with kids. Like it's like a 24-hour job. You have to be entertaining them and becoming friends, not just on screen or while we're shooting, but behind the scenes all the time. During makeup, you have to become real friends in order to have this chemistry that you finally see on screen.
And if I could just tell one story from the set or from production, so you get a sense of what he's saying about the kids' reaction to Eugenio. We actually, the three principal kids, we had to introduce to Eugenio beforehand because we had to do rehearsals. And the first two kids that were cast were Paloma and Nico, Jennifer, and the third that was cast was Mia. And we were keeping it a surprise until we were certain that we were going to give them the role, who they were working with, because Eugenio is such an enormous deal in Mexico. These things need to be kept under wraps. So when we were doing a screen test, she was in costume in front of camera, and she found out that Mia got the role, and we were now going to reveal who Sergio was playing. And Jennifer says, "Oh, can I tell her? And I said yes, and she walks over to me and she goes, "Okay, name a Mexican actor." And Mia said, "Eugenio Derbez." That's who Sergio. That's who he is in Mexico. That's who Sergio. And then she just started crying.
Well, so somebody called me in 2012 when the story broke in Mexico, and it did get attention for a handful of days, and then the press cycle moved on, and the story kind of disappeared. But somebody called me and said it was curious because this one young girl placed at the top of the national math exam. And the kid was from Matamoros, and the person who was calling me was an employee at Intel, a Mexican American, who wanted to find out why it happened, and the press hadn't supplied any answers. So I did a little bit of digging, And sure enough, there was no explanation of, was this girl just a genius on her own? Where did she come from? Like, was there a teacher involved? You know, there was very little about it. And so I found a way to talk to the teacher on the phone. And I said, what did you do different? And he said, why don't you come here and see? And so I was intrigued, you know, what does it look like? I went to Matamoros and sat in the classroom for a number of days, and it just blew my mind the way this guy was teaching. He had moved all the desks to the side. He wasn't following the traditional curriculum, and he was basically just experimenting and having fun, which was a radical idea. And it worked. You could see the students were just on fire. It was very exciting.